I was looking over these latest numbers on new car sales, and very impressive. They keep going higher. They're up 9% year over year, back to pre-recession levels. More people than ever, it seems, are buying new cars. And that's good for the economy, but is it good for consumers? Hello again, I'm Mark Huffman with Money Watch Radio, and we're going to look at some ways that when you go to buy a new car, you can be confident that you're getting the best deal possible. Now, when I say the best deal possible, what I really mean is you're getting a fair deal, one that's good for you, but also good for the dealer. And you know, they've got to make money. If you think you're going to walk into a dealership and grind them down and get a steal, it's just not going to happen. I mean, how often do you buy a car? Maybe once every 5 years? Well, these guys probably sell 5 cars a day. So you're up against some pretty stiff competition. That said, there are ways that you can get a good deal. And truth be told, the car buying process has changed a little bit over the years. So that's what we're going to delve into a little bit today. Joining us from Irvine, California is Karl Brauer, Senior Analyst at Kelley Blue Book, which is the longtime authority on car values. Karl, thanks for taking some time to talk.
Hey, great being on with you, Mark.
Now, I think going into a new car showroom and trying to negotiate the purchase of a new car has to be one of the most intimidating consumer experiences. And, of course, I guess being prepared is a good first step. You don't want to walk in not knowing anything. But my question is, what kind of research should you do before you go to a new car showroom?
I think the most important thing that they can take advantage of in today's world is educating themselves on the market value of the vehicle. And when I say market value, of course, that's what people are paying, not the invoice price, which is what the dealer paid, not the MSRP, which is what the dealer wants to ask for the car, or the manufacturer wants to ask for the car, but what people are actually transacting at, what the cars are being valued at when people buy them in their local area. And it's really easy to do that with online tools, and Kelley Blue Book has a price advisor tool that will give you both a specific price for your area with your options and color, as well as a range that you can kind of be confident if you're operating within, you're getting a fair deal.
Now, is that market value subject to change? I mean, will it fluctuate, let's say, over 3 months?
Absolutely. No, it changes. It can change, in a matter of weeks or less, depending on everything from vehicle supply to demand, popularity. You'll see things happen like a car might be featured in a television show or a movie, and suddenly that could increase demand faster than the manufacturer increases its supply, and that would cause the price to potentially go up in a very short time frame.
So walking into a car dealer full of bluster and trying to play Mr. Tough Guy hardball probably isn't going to work. So where do you start in the negotiating process?
I think the way you want to appear when you show up at the dealer is hopefully an accurate way, saying that you're educated, that you have done your homework, that you know the value of the vehicle, you've confirmed it through an online tool like Kelley's Price Advisor, so you have a full understanding of what you should pay and what kind of price range is reasonable versus unreasonable for the car. And if you come in and you make it clear that you're that educated buyer, I think the dealership immediately treats those buyers in a different manner, because they know they can't basically play any games or try to pull any specific kind of marketing or other tactics on you. They know that you know what you should pay for the car.
Yeah, I was going to ask as a follow-up whether they could tell whether you'd done your homework, and I guess, that would be obvious. Tell me, what are the 2 things, first, that you should do, most important, when you go to a car dealership, and secondly, what you should not do?
Well, I think the most important thing is to have that authoritative kind of appearance and demeanor when you go in, that you've done your homework, and if you can pull out, the exact numbers that you have seen the car valued at, and that that's what it's transacting at, I think the dealer, when they're across the table from you or across the desk, will immediately know, okay, let's just deal with this customer on a very bottom line, real world basis. What you don't want to do, and you might have heard this before, is you don't want to fall in love with the car and decide you have to have that specific one. And there's 2 reasons you don't want to do that. One is the dealers can sense that. They've been doing this long enough to sense people who've decided they are leaving today with the car. They have to leave because they love the car. And that surrenders a lot of your negotiation power when you do that. And the other reason you don't want to do that is there's almost always, with rare exception, going to be another dealer that will have the car. And if you can not only know what car you want, but know that there are multiple options you've got to get it from, the dealer sees you as someone who's a serious buyer about to spend money, and you can spend it there or you can spend it somewhere else. And once they get that impression, they'll work very hard to make sure, as a serious buyer, you spend your money there and not anywhere else.
Has the internet changed the way car dealers deal with customers?
It absolutely has. It has absolutely forced them to be that much more kind of savvy about consumer education and the range of knowledge people will come in with. I think it used to be kind of what you said at the intro. It used to be a much more common situation for people to come in and pretty easily display that they weren't 100% sure about what the price should be on the car, and maybe do their best at negotiating, but not really having any confidence in a lot of the numbers they were throwing out. This was true, 10, 20 years ago. I think today's world, some customers are still like that, unfortunately, and everyone should be using the tools they've got to be educated. But a big chunk of customers, I'd say certainly over half, now come in and the dealer recognizes this person knows what they're talking about, and I'm going to have to be very straightforward with them.
Okay, now that we have figured out what the fair market value of the car is, what we should pay for it, are there any other costs that we should be aware of as we before we drive the car off the lot?
Absolutely. The other thing that you always want to think about when you're buying a car is that coming together on the price for the vehicle is really the first step. It is not the last step or final step. And a lot of consumers do this. They decide that they and the dealer have come together on the price, and they think that that's it. The tough part's over, and now they can relax. And again, some types of dealers will know that that's what's happened, and they will be happy to emphasize that the consumer can now relax as they walk them through the other parts of the purchase, which is the extras, the finance and insurance room that you'll often go to, where you'll look at what it's going to take to finance the vehicle, what other extras you might want, like window tinting and Scotch Guard and alarm systems. And consumers should maintain basically, kind of their alert and focused stance that they had when they were negotiating the price as they go through those secondary elements, and watch out for things like documentation fees that they're going to pay when a car is processed, registration fees. Those should all be things that potentially they know before they go in, and that they should at least look at closely when the final contract is written up. And certainly they should look at the extras that they're going to be offered and decide whether they really want them, and if they do, whether they're getting the best price for them from the dealer, or whether they'd be better off going somewhere else, like another aftermarket shop. Maybe there's a window tinting specialized shop, and they want to get their windows tinted, and before they go in, they research and find out what the cost is from this individual shop. Now they've got a number they can compare if it's offered to them at the dealer.
Before I let you go, I wanted to ask you about leases. I was reading where auto leases now make up a much larger percentage of the market as opposed to purchases. And my question to you is, if you are leasing the car, do you negotiate any differently than you do if you're purchasing?
Well, when you're leasing, what you're really down to is a monthly payment, and that's really all that matters, and you should negotiate for a lease payment that, again, makes sense to you, that is based on what other people are paying for their lease rates for similar vehicles, which you can, again, look up online. But what you really want to do is you just want to make sure you're paying a competitive price, and you want to see how the dealer arrives at that lease payment, because what is essentially supposed to be is you're paying the difference between what the car costs the day that you start leasing it and what it's worth the day you return it. Usually 36 months later. It can be different time frames, but it's give or take 36 months for most people. And you can do all those calculations before you get to the dealer, and use some online tools so that, again, you'll have a good sense of what you should be paying every month when you get to the dealer before you ever start the negotiation process.
So the information's there, the tools are there. You just have to use them, and if you do, it's a very powerful weapon.
That's exactly it, Mark. That's the beauty of buying a car in 2014, is that the ability to prepare for the purchase process long before you ever get to the dealer. Get your financing arranged before you get there, and then see if the dealer can beat it. Get whatever add-ons you want to get likely put on the car. Figure out those prices before you ever get to the dealer. And once you get to the dealer, you know all these things, and you can basically tell the dealer, here's what I'm willing to spend, here's what I think is reasonable. You've got to meet or beat these numbers, or I'll go to another dealer.
All great information, Karl. Thanks very much for sharing it with us.
Great talking to you, Mark.
Karl Brauer, Senior Analyst at Kelley Blue Book, and check out their suite of car buying tools at kbb.com. And we'll leave you with this. Your best negotiating position when buying a new car is not Mr. Tough Guy, but is simply knowledge, knowing what the market says the car is worth. And it's all right there on the internet. All you have to do is look for it. Until next time, I'm Mark Huffman for Money Watch Radio.